skidding. How Boston is dealing with Marcus Smart calling out their two stars. Big perk on the big drama in Beantown. And has Dame time stalled? Lillard's in the midst of one of his worst slumps in his career. How can one of the NBA's best get back on track? Plus, injuries are wreaking havoc to the Bucks and Sixers. When will some of the East's biggest stars be back on the court? NBA Today starts right now. Welcome to NBA Today. I'm Malika Andrews, joined by Chiney Ogwumike, Kendrick Perkins, and Zach Lowe. Ramona Shelburne will be joining us shortly. But Perk, how are you feeling about the Celtics? But you know what? Actually, before I ask how you're feeling about the Celtics, let's look at the highlight of last night, because I know you're going to have a lot to say, Big Perk. I know you're going to have a lot to say. The Bulls were visiting the Celtics. The Celtics led by 19 with 2:28 to go in the third.
Dun, dun, dun.
They entered Monday 81-3, Chiney, over the last 5 seasons when leading by 19 plus, but then this happened. It was early in the fourth quarter, turned it over. Bulls get out in transition. Alley-oop to Derrick Jones Jr. Bulls down by just 7 now. So then, this next play is out of a Celtics timeout. Dennis Schroeder blocked. Bulls back out in transition here. Alex Caruso. Zach LaVine gets nifty through traffic, drives, lays it in, plus the foul. The free throw would be good. The Bulls are pumped. So then the Bulls out trail by 2 now. Not anymore. Bulls charge all the way back, take the lead on a 29-9 run since Boston led by 19. So 5:20 to go here. You know that's good. Bulls lead by 2. So now we have under 4 minutes to go. Boston down 4. Jason Tatum, he drives. Just can't quite make it through the Bulls defense. Tatum was 4 of 14 in the second half. So 1:20 left. Bulls by 9. DeRozan, bang. Season high 37 points for DeRozan. The Celtics look completely shocked. Here's Marcus Smart.
I mean, it's only so much I could do without the ball in my hands. I just sit and stand in the corner. When we run in plays for our best players, every team knows that. They do a good job of shutting that down. And, we can't allow that. I mean, I would just like to play basketball. Every team knows we're trying to go to Jason and Jalen. And every team is programmed and studied to stop Jason and Jalen. And, I think everybody's scouting report is make those guys try to pass the ball. They don't want to pass the ball, and that's something that they're going to learn. They're still learning. We're proud of the progress they're making, but they're going to have to make another step and find ways to not only create for themselves but create for others on this team, to open up the court for them later down in the game where they don't have to always take those tough shots.
So here's a deeper look at that fourth quarter where the Celtics managed to score just 11 points while allowing the Bulls to score 39 on 13 of 16 from the field. Boston missed all of its 8 3-pointers and collected just 3 rebounds, all on the offensive end. So there's a whole bunch to unpack here. I promised I would start with you, Perk. You played 8 seasons in Boston. You won a championship there. So what do you think of Marcus Smart's comments on Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown?
It's bad. It's really bad. And this is why. Marcus Smart is considered one of the leaders in that locker room, if not the vocal leader in that locker room. And you have a group of young guys that are on the bench that are younger than your franchise guys who, by the way, are young, all right? So you have Peyton Pritchard, you have Robert Williams, Aaron Nesmith. It's a whole list of guys that you have. And you go out there and you call out your franchise guys in the public along with your head coach because you're basically saying that he needs to critique his offensive playbook and saying that they need to run plays through others is not a good look for the team. It's not a good look for the organization. And what could happen is that guys could start looking at Marcus Smart a little differently, like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. And as a leader, you cannot do that. Look, in the fourth quarter, when you're on the team and you're a role player, the ball goes in the hands of the people who get paid the big bucks. And on the Celtic team, that is Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Now, speaking of Jaylen Brown, where's my clip? Roll the clip. Speaking of Jaylen Brown, he took over in the second quarter before halftime.
Okay.
The Bulls had control of the game until Jaylen Brown decided to take over because he was taking a back seat. Listen, this kid is so special. And then when you go back and look in the fourth quarter, he had I believe, 2 shot attempts. Two. And this goes back to even when they won their overtime game, the last game on the road. Jaylen Brown was cooking and they isolated him. So look, he's getting trapped. I get it. He's making the right play. But at the end of the day, the lead was blown at the end of the third quarter, the beginning of the fourth quarter, when the others couldn't make it happen. So for Marcus Smart, a guy that's a defensive player who, by the way, DeMar DeRozan had 37 points on 75% shooting last night. Nobody was checking him. Goes to the media and call out your franchise guys. That's just not it.
Well, and we've seen this happen before. To me, when I was watching it, it didn't necessarily look entirely disrespectful, but I see what you're saying, Perk. I see what you're saying there. What was interesting to me is that Jaylen Brown has only had 1 assist in the fourth quarter in all of his games this season. So I was thinking, okay, I get the frustration, but Chiney, the Bulls closed the game on a 53-20 run. So what's the bigger deal, the Celtics' offensive struggles or poor defense down the stretch?
And since Big Perk has been talking about the fourth quarter and your question, I think it works hand in hand. When you miss that many shots and then you are creating a shorter turnaround for you to set up your defense, it's all problems. And I don't want to just tell you. How about I show you with this breakdown? Okay, so the interesting part here is, when you think about the Boston Celtics, Marcus Smart called out their offense, but really they should be talking about their defense. 27th in defensive rating. So give me my tape, producer Kwaku. Check out this defense. The issues here. Josh Richardson overreacts on the pick and roll. You're never supposed to give up middle, and the big man does so. Easy money right there. Another defensive play late in the game, pick and roll, but this time you gamble. You're never supposed to gamble, especially when you have a shooter making his way up, and guess what? This was a huge shot by Ayo, you know what I mean? Creating a 2-on-1 where last minute you have a late closeout. Huge shot for the Bulls, and then the biggest shot of them all. Jason Tatum got caught sleeping a little bit because watch what Lonzo does. He runs, reads it, and this is where we had the unselfish extra pass that leads to DeMar DeRozan, his season high, 37 after creating a 2-on-1 from Tatum sort of sleeping in that moment. So overall, everyone's going to make a lot of hullabaloo over, the offensive issues after Marcus Smart made his comments. But the reality is those defensive lapses are really what cost you the game.
Yeah, that's interesting. Jason Tatum shooting 25% in the fourth quarter, which is worst in the NBA. But the defense, good defense leads to good offense leads to good defense. Yep. The Celtics are just 2-5, not the way they were looking to start the season. Zach Lowe, what is the biggest problem affecting Boston to start the season?
Golf clap for Chiney because she nailed it. For this team with these players to be 27th in defense, they're fouling the hell out of everyone. They can't get a rebound. It's embarrassing. This should be a top 10 defense. That's the biggest problem on the floor. But what Marcus Smart said last night, listen, he knew exactly what he was saying. He might have been polite about it, but he knew what he was saying. And he's both right and a little bit wrong. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum aren't good enough as passers quite yet. They've improved, but they're kind of average for their position. Tatum is a little better, but he's sometimes a pass in case of emergency guy. I'm doubled. I can't go anywhere. I got to pass. But Marcus Smart, when he gets more of the offense given to him, and I love Marcus Smart. He's the heart and soul of that team. He's prone to some pretty crazy shot selection. If you go back and watch the bubble in particular, you could see a lot of guys on the Celtics on the court being like, dude, what are you doing? Like that 20-foot pull-up off the dribble? What are you doing? And bottom line is, there's just been something off in the water in Boston for years. They go to the conference finals in 2018, one of 3 conference finals in recent years, by the way, without Kyrie, without Hayward. Those guys come back, and the team just implodes. And everyone blames it on, well, there's this Kyrie versus the young guys, and there was all this tension. Well, guess what? Kyrie's been gone for a while now, a long time, and the tension hasn't gone away. Something is just, Danny Ainge retires. Brad Stevens says, I don't want to coach anymore. Send me upstairs. Free agents are leaving left and right. Gordon Hayward would be a Celtic right now if he really, truly wanted to play with this core. He didn't want it. Now Charlotte offered more money, so Boston has an out. So we didn't match that offer. The bottom line is something just isn't right in the water, and they got to fix it because they got a lot of talent on this team, and they have time, in part because even if they wanted to make a trade, I'm not sure they could do anything. They're not trading one of the Jays, and Smart can't be traded till January 25th because of his extension.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, but hey, listen, here's the thing, right? It's a lot that went wrong with Marcus Smart interview. And Shanae, you know this, as a player, It's certain things that you come up, go to the interview room and you cannot say. And that's the reason that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown didn't do their post-game interview, because they didn't want to have to answer the question about what Marcus Smart has said.
Yeah, that cannot be condoned. It does not matter what happens on the court. It has been collectively bargained that it is your duty, it is part of your job, good and bad, to speak to reporters. Please continue, Kendrick.
No. But what I'm saying is not to not speak to reporters, but it's certain things that you're not supposed to say. And here's the thing: what's going on in Boston? When you have a group of young guys, and I say young because people don't realize is that I've been in two different situations. One with Boston, guys were trying to compete for a title and won the championship, when you had guys like Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, and Paul Pierce on the back end of their career, where they had accomplished everything individual. And so all they needed was to win the title. Then I went to Oklahoma City, where you had Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, and James Harden, guys who were at the beginning of their career, who all needed to accomplish everything that they needed to accomplish individually, where they wasn't more so worried about championship. Now you see like a James Harden and Kevin Durant reuniting on the back end of their career, because at first James Harden had to go let it all out. He had to go win the MVPs, make all-star games and things to that nature. And so when you look at the Celtic roster, they have a young squad. The Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are not even 25 years of age yet. And so when you have a young squad like that, you got to make sure that you surround them with the right veterans and right mentorship that they could have in that locker room, because the whole squad is young. That's the problem. They don't have a real leader.
Well, they're going to get a little bit of help, even if it's not maybe from a leader, the schedule gods, as they play Orlando tomorrow night. So let's head to Philly. Dame Lillard in a little bit of a slump. The Sixers playing without Tobias Harris and without Joel Embiid. As you'll see, there's Dame Lillard. We also have Joel not playing, not in uniform. So first quarter, Lillard, he drives to the hoop. Can't quite get the friendly roll, but he gets the foul. Listen to the Philly crowd here at the line.
Chance going up here at the center.
I heard it. City of brotherly love. We show the brothers some love. I know what it is and I know what it's about, but I'm a trailblazer. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the respect, that they show, and the desire or whatever. But I'm 10 toes in Grip City.
So back in the game, third quarter, 76ers up by 5. Danny Green lobs it to Andre Drummond, and Drummond did more than score. Later in the third, Drummond feeds George Niang. You know that's good. Drummond had 14 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists. So then later in the fourth, 76ers up 7. Seth Curry gets in his bag, hits the 3 from the wing. Curry had a game-high 23 points, and the 76ers win it. Here's Doc Rivers on the win.
Yeah, it was great. I was joking with Michael Rubin. I said, you only had $105 million on not in the game tonight. So it was just a good team effort. It's one of those games I thought every single guy did something to help us win the game. They kind of stayed within their roles. They understood, what we needed, getting to the paint and creating plays. I thought we did that tonight.
So Philadelphia now has 3 straight wins, but health concerns are remaining. They're without Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, and Danny Green. They're all on the mend. Welcoming in our senior writer and reporter, Ramona Shelford. Embiid was out for a rest day, but how is his knee progressing, Ramona?
Really well. He's going to play tomorrow against Chicago. Danny Green's going to be out because he had a hamstring injury suffered in that game. But Joel Embiid is progressing really well with his knee. And also that rest day gave him a chance to get in the lab with his personal trainer, Drew Hanlon, and go over some areas where he thinks he can improve his game and help the Sixers play the way they need to without Ben Simmons, without Tobias Harris, without Danny Green now. But he's going to play against Chicago.
Joel in, Danny Green out. You mentioned it, Ben Simmons. We can't have a 76ers segment without asking you about Ben Simmons. So what's the latest on his possible return to Philadelphia?
Well, Malika, there's been frustration mounting, according to people close to the situation, that Ben has not been accepting any of the help that the team has offered him in terms of helping him with his mental readiness. And he has been working with mental health professionals through the Players Association, but thus far I'm told he hasn't really kept the team in the loop on that. And there is frustration mounting there that they want to know, okay, you're out due to mental, you need to get mentally ready to play. But so far he's just done individual work with some of their position coaches. He hasn't been back in with the team, and he's not providing the team with any updates on what he's doing to get back and get himself back with the team and participating in team activities.
Interesting. So it doesn't really seem like there's a firm timeline yet.
There's no timeline.
No timeline on when he could be coming back. Philly hosts the Bulls tomorrow night. Thank you so much, Ramona.
Thanks.
Please
Micah.
don't go too far. As for the Blazers, on the other side, Damian Lillard was 7 of 20 from the field and 2 of 9 from 3. And Portland Star's season is still a work in progress.
I always look at struggles as an opportunity to show my true character. You know what I'm saying? When things go great, it's a lot of praise that comes along with that. And a lot of people give you a lot of credit. They speak really highly on you. But I think it says more when, you're going through something, it's kind of hitting the fan and you're struggling and everybody got something to say. To me, the real ones can, they can keep on trucking, and keep on going and still find a way to get the job done.
Dame has made just 15 of his 65 attempts from free three this season, which is just 23%, and that ranks last in the NBA among players with at least 50 attempts. And it's a small sample size, as Lillard is a 37% career shooter from deep. So joined again by Perk, Chiney, and Zach. And Perk, you just heard Damian Lillard say, after he struggled and talked to reporters, that games like this, times like this, it builds character. What does he need to do to start having the success we're accustomed to seeing from him?
Well, I think it's simple. He just has to have a mental reset, right? And just decompress a little bit. Because we have to remember, right, Damian Lillard is taking on a lot right now for us with the trade rumors and whether or not he should get out of Portland and, whether one of his teammates should be traded. And that's a lot riding on the shoulders of your franchise guy who really never been through that. We've known Damian Lillard to be just this terrific basketball player, but now he's seeing the other side of it, of the business side of it, where he's actually getting the opportunity to have his input in calling the shots. So I just think Dame has to take a step back, reset his mind, lock in on hooping, and I think he'll be just fine.
Absolutely.
I completely agree, Perk. And I think I might be a little crazy for saying this, but Dame is allowed a shooting slump. For 9 years in this league, he has really held it down. Last year, for example, his running mates, CJ McCollum, Yusuf Nurkic, Zach Collins, missed 187 games. And who held them together? Damian Lillard. You look overall, this guy, I gave a stat a little while ago that Steph runs a lot. Dame leads the league in miles run per game since 2013. He's the leader. So he's allowed to, put his foot off the grass a little bit and just find a shot. We know it's coming. So I hear a lot of people say, oh, he's got a shooting slump. This man will be just fine, and you're right, Perk. He's been dealing with a lot, and sometimes it manifests itself at the start of the season and not having your rhythm, but he's going to be just fine.
You fan yourself over there, Perk. You taking flames from Chiney?
When that good gospel and that First Street Baptist Church get to preach, it's that time. It's that time.
Absolutely. And to Chiney and Perk's point, 29% through his first 4 games from 3 last year. That was around where he is now, a little bit higher than that 23%. But then he jumped back up to 39%, and that was his 3rd best shooting percentage over the course of his career. But Zach, this is the first year for Chauncey Billups. So is it a system thing that's impacting Lillard, or is it a larger issue that you see there?
This is Damian Lillard. This is his 10th season. There are things I worry about in life, in my life, in the NBA life. Damian Lillard's 3-point percentage is not one of them. And everyone is searching so hard for explanations. The system's different, this and that. You look at the numbers, his pick and roll volume, about the same. Portland is still a low assist team, high off the dribble 3 team. All of it is still basically the same. It's a little different. It's just a shooting slump. If it were February, we wouldn't be talking about it as much. It happens to be the start of the season. Damian Lillard will be fine. I will say, Perk mentioned the trade rumors. He said 10 toes deep in Rip City last night. He rapped, he freestyled about wanting to be the next Greek Freak and Dirk. I get that you can sort of walk back anything you say, but but he's kind of painting himself into like, I'm back in the stay in Portland for life corner. He's not like talking around it. He's being direct.
Yeah, absolutely. He told us, I wanted to get in front of it and tell people if we had a slump, if I had an individual slump, if anything happened, that's not going to be what affects me staying in Rip City. And Dame and the Blazers are back in action tomorrow night in Cleveland. So today, let's run through some of the top from Monday's action. First up, top clutch performance. Paul George willed the Clippers to a win over the Thunder on Monday night. He hit big buckets.
People forget that this man was a #1 option for a long time, and it shows. You know, the Clippers, they need a little bit of a boost, but I like him taking over, giving himself confidence, especially, hopefully, fingers crossed for the playoffs.
Look at this. He gets back-to-back threes in transition.
He did a little between, reverse. Look at that. Ooh, drag. Love it.
Crisscross. Look at this.
Okay, Luke Kennard's been balling as well.
Absolutely. Well, and he got the Clippers. They're on track. Look at Paul George dapping him up. Likes it. All right, top spin move. First up, Jason Tatum spinning off Lonzo Ball and gets the dunk.
Yes. You know what I love the most about this spin move, though? I think he switches hands. Let me see. Oh, but behind the back, then crossover. Then he drops hands. Like, that is very difficult.
Well, we can't talk about top spin moves without John Morant. Take a look at this.
Okay, I saw a split, a hezzy, and a finish.
Over a guy how much bigger than him?
And athletic. I mean, no one's probably more athletic than himself in any matchup.
You know, he says he's right-handed, he's left-handed. Just depends on the day.
Ambidextrous.
Whatever it may be. Which one do you like better of those two?
Ooh, I might go with Tatum.
All right.
Just because of like the hands.
All right, then I'll take Ja. All right, top dime, LaMelo Ball with the flashy dime to Miles Bridges.
Honestly, he set the bar so high that this isn't even a big deal for me. It's a nice little no look.
All right. Is Melo the best passer in the NBA?
Ooh, no. No,
I think consider for a
he's
second,
the fanciest, but like effectively. I mean, he's got sauce with his passes.
Yeah.
I gotta respect my elders, you know, Chris Paul.
Yeah. All right. Well, then we'll talk about if you're respecting your elders, and we'll talk about young guys and have to pay a little love to the top rookie because that was Magic rookie Franz Wagner. He went off last night, scoring 28 points, including that.
We love siblings that hoop, right? And he's a utility player. We both worked the NBA draft, and a lot of people are like, oh, interesting take here. That's because he can do a little bit of everything. And great size, like 6'10" or something like that.
Absolutely. I mean, Magic's, he's making it look good.
Mm-hmm.
Making it look
and
good.
the finish.
I like it. All right. Well, Chiney.
I think one of the worst feelings for a coach is when you're in search mode, just trying to find a group of guys or a player or two that wants to be here, you know, wants to be in the building, wants to go out there and play with energy and fight and compete. You know, those are not game plan things. That's just, you know, the responsibility of each individual, you know, to be engaged and to go out there, and you can't control makes or misses, but you certainly can control your effort and how hard you play in doing your job. And I just didn't feel that we had consistently enough of that from all of our guys tonight.
Michael Malone has never been shy about calling out his team when things aren't going well. Perk, what do you make of Malone's comments about Denver not playing with enough effort?
He's right, and they haven't been consistent. They've been up and down. Like, you know, they'll put together one good game, and you'll be like, oh, this is a hell of a Denver squad. Like, they're a threat of coming out of the West, and then the next day you look at them and you like, they won't make it out the first round. And so he's right. And look, he's not questioning their talent. He's saying he's got to find a group of guys that's committed to playing hard, committed to the culture of the Denver Nuggets. That's what this was all about, culture.
So let's take a look then at where this all shakes out, taking a look at the standings. As for the Nuggets, they are currently sitting in 6th place in the Western Conference. The Jazz and the Warriors only have 1 loss each, and they're followed by the Mavs and the Lakers. And then some surprising teams like the Timberwolves and the Kings are in the top 8 thus far. It's early, but I want to get your top 4 teams, starting with you, Ramona.
I like the Jazz there. They were a preseason pick to go to the Western Conference Finals. I think they can take a step forward. And we haven't even seen the best of Donovan Mitchell yet. The Warriors, you have to respect that record. I don't know if they finished second, but right now, let's put them there.
All right.
We'll put the Lakers a healthy ways back at 3 since they lost to the Warriors already.
Okay.
But they have a lot of room to grow. And Denver, I know Michael Malone is hard on his team. Michael Malone is hard on his team, but they need to be right up there.
Zach, what do you think?
Well, let me be clear. I think the 2 best teams in the West at full health are the Nuggets and the Clippers, but they both have superstar level players out, so they're out of my top 4. I'm going Jazz and Warriors just because they have the best records. Lakers and then Suns, you know what? This is like a shoulder shrug. They get the benefit of the doubt. The Lakers haven't been that impressive, but they have LeBron James and Anthony Davis. The Suns made the finals. They get the benefit of the doubt. Dallas is 4-2, but their offense stinks, and most of their wins are cupcakes, and I can't trust anybody else quite yet.
Well, there you go. So you have 3-3 overlapping between Ramona and Zach. Perk, what you got?
Well, I'm going to stay with the Utah Jazz at number 1.
Okay.
I think look at how they play consistently on both ends of the floor is one of the better ball clubs.
Memphis. I like that.
I'm going with the Lakers at number 2. I think they're going to hit their stride. They're finding it. Melo's playing beautiful basketball. Remember, they still missing a key piece in Taylor Horton-Tucker. And Kendrick Nunn is another piece that they're missing. At number 3, I'm going with the Golden State Warriors. When they get Clay back, they're going to be a problem, especially the way that Steph is playing along with Poole and the other guys that, like, you know, Draymond Green and the other young core. But at number 4, I'm going with the Memphis Grizzlies. We talk about injuries, but they're missing a huge part, and they're 4-3. They're missing Dylan Brooks.
Right.
And John Morant is playing at an MVP level.
Right.
When they get Dylan Brooks back, Memphis Grizzlies are going to be a force to be reckoned with. That's why I have them in my top 4. They're doing it without their other star.
All right, Janae, they picked, so that means you have to pick. Let's see.
Please forgive me, Malika. I have a very, what I like to call Zach Lowian list, meaning I couldn't decide at the end.
Come on now.
Wait, do you know how to count to 4?
You're going to hedge when we give you 4 options already?
Count to 4?
I've got 4A and 4B, you know what I'm saying? Because I do like the Nuggets, but I wanted to put a little love on what the Dallas Mavericks have been doing. They've been able to find ways to win without Porzingis the last few games, and then also while shooting the ball poorly. I believe they're like top 10 in defensive rating, so they're finding ways to win with a new coach. So that's why I could not decide as I've learned from one of the greatest ever, Zach Lowe. I couldn't do it. I'm sorry.
Okay,
We gave you 4 choices today. 4 choices.
This has been so much fun having Janae on the show. She has lost her picking privileges, and we're going to need to have an internal meeting on how this is going to move forward.
If you just said top team, okay, one choice.
Internal meeting with Zach on the Android and the group.
Here's what's contributed to the Bucks' 3-game losing streak. They are struggling on the offensive end, scoring just 98.7 points per game in that span. That is tied for 26th in the league, and they were averaging over 115 points in the first 4 games. And Milwaukee is also not making threes. Their bread and butter, shooting just 27.5% from deep during the stretch. That is the 2nd worst mark in the NBA. And the Bucks were 5th in three-point percentage last season. And they certainly miss Brook Lopez at center. They were averaging just 2.7 blocks per game in the last 3 games without him, also 2nd worst in the league. And in the only game that Lopez played this season, the Bucks had a season-high 9 blocked shots. So I'd like to now welcome in our Midwest-based reporter, Jamal Collier. Jamal, thank you so much for being here. There's a lot to cover with the Bucks injury report. Basically, their entire starting lineup, save for Giannis, is on that report. Can he expect help anytime soon?
Yeah, I mean, the Bucks are coming off, obviously, a short offseason coming off the finals, so they're going to be extra careful with everybody and make sure that people are back to 100%. I think Drew Holiday is probably the closest to returning. He's been back to practice, but remember, not only did he play in the finals, he played in that gold medal game, or played for the Olympic team, winning the gold medal. So, you know, he's potentially going to be back this weekend, but they want to make sure he's 100%. Same with Chris Middleton, a guy who they initially thought was going to be out with a non-COVID related illness before they had to put him onto the health and safety protocols, you know, before this game in Detroit tonight. So those 2 guys, I think, Middleton's a little bit more up in the air.
Right.
Holiday should be back at some point soon. And it sounds like Lopez and Brook Lopez and Dante DiVincenzo are definitely going to be a little bit further down the line before those guys are back.
Still a minute for him. Brook, that's been that back soreness, tightness, injury has been something he's been dealing with for a while. But Jamal, Giannis is used to carrying a heavy load. How is he handling this?
Yeah, I mean, after one of those games last week, he looked directly into the camera during his press conference and was like, "Brook, I need you, brother. You got to come back soon." You know, he's playing a lot of minutes at center right now, and definitely going to take a sort of physical toll on his body. Look, the Bucks will always want to keep Giannis's minutes down and try to manage it as best they can. But those last 4 games, you've seen a bit of more of an uptick out there. He's seeing a lot of double teams. Teams are sort of really closing out on him and trying to get him to get rid of the ball. So they definitely don't want to keep this sort of extra pressure on Giannis right now. He's playing with a lot of Thanasis, Jordan Nora, Mamu sort of front lines out there. He definitely needs some help if his team is going to get to where they go before the end of the season.
Absolutely. But when I checked in with someone with the Bucks this morning, as you know, Jamal, they say this is the time, right? If it's going to happen now, this is the time. Thank you so much for joining us, Jamal. Really appreciate it. All right, so the Bucks will try to snap their 3-game skid tonight against the Pistons, and then they host the Knicks on Friday, and that game will be on ESPN. And a couple of marquee games over the next couple of weeks as they visit the Celtics on Friday, and then they host the Lakers on November 17th. And both of those games are also on ESPN. And we now welcome in a Hall of Famer, a league MVP, and he was recently named to the NBA 75th anniversary team. Oscar Robertson, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited. We have been talking so much, Oscar, about Milwaukee and their recent health misfortunes here on NBA Today. Do you believe that they can repeat as champions, and why?
Yes, I do, and I've always said that they're the champions until somebody beats them.
There you go.
Right now it's early. They're having some problems with health-wise, but a lot of teams are having problems. So, but you got Giannis, who's a tremendous individual athlete. You have some you keep people out, and that makes a big difference. So I'm going to say the Bucks are the champs, and they could repeat very easily if they get everybody together and play well together.
Get everybody healthy, and, you know, Giannis was named to the 75th anniversary team, so clearly he's already doing something right. But I mentioned that you were also named to the 75th anniversary team, so first of all, congratulations. But there were several players who made, let's call it their displeasure known when they didn't make the list. So in your mind, who should have been on it? And since it's just 75, or in this case 76, who would you have replaced to make sure that that player was on it?
Well, since I only had one vote and I didn't have the total votes that's necessary for a lot of players, and it's really unfortunate that some players who are great basketball players, they make the team, such as the 50th anniversary team. Some great basketball players were left off the team. But this is what happens when people vote for you. But, you know, that shouldn't stop guys from trying to do their best and playing 100% basketball. They should go out and try to prove the 75 list wrong. If they think they deserve to be on the team, prove them wrong.
Were you surprised Dwight Howard or a Klay Thompson was left off the list?
I was surprised about Klay Thompson, I must tell you, to be honest. But voting was by the players, and it's unfortunate that you only had 25 spots. And, you know, I've always said this, that a lot of times when you get 25 spots, you're going to have a lot of guards on the team versus centers, because there aren't any really true centers anymore in basketball.
Yeah, you mentioned 25 spots. It's because all 50 of the 50th anniversary team made it. I am curious to see whether or not when eventually we do this at 100, if all 75 of the 75 will make it, or if there's going to be some shakeups, some changes, because there might be. But, Oscar, you changed the game during your playing career with triple-doubles, and Steph Curry, for example, changed the game with his shooting. Do you have a current player that you think is posed to next change the game?
I think the next change is going to be with multiple players on a certain team. There may be a little key trade here and there to make the big difference. But right now, you know, the teams are selling out, and they're very, very competitive all along the line. But it's early, and I think you're going to see in the next after maybe 20 games, the true teams and the true players come to light.
So maybe a Luka Doncic, right? Someone like that who's just such a bright young star, a Trae Young that's already having that sort of impact on the game. Oscar, thank you so much for spending time with us on NBA Today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me again.
You see what it takes, so now you have to add that to yourself. So
yeah, let's go!
That Rookie of the Year trophy means much to you right now, or? That's something that is for mine to go get. It's mine to go get. So I'm definitely going. Attacking the game. I'm definitely gonna do what I do, but it's not really pressure when it comes to that. Everybody kind of has their own story to write.
Cade Cunningham is currently the 4th favorite to win Rookie of the Year, according to Caesars Sportsbook. Jalen Green and Scotty Barnes are tied for the shortest odds at 3-1, followed by Evan Mobley at 4-1, and Chris Duarte rounds out the top 5. So joined again by Chene and Ramona. So Jalen Green and Scotty Barnes are the betting favorites to win Rookie of the Year. But Chene, since you've won Rookie of the Year, I'll start with you.
I'm going with Scotty Barnes. We the North energy, big energy there. Averaging 18 and 6. I really like. It was a little bit of a controversial pick, but I trust in Masai Ujiri. Okay, because Jalen Suggs, that was the decision they had to make. But he's just been a complete rookie. One of the few, if not only, to have 20-point, 10-rebound games.
All right.
And so he's been very impressive to me.
You know, you influenced me with your hedging. Okay.
Oh, come on.
I just want to take this opportunity to point out I did pick Jalen Green preseason, and he's done nothing to lose
hedging
that.
in Houston.
Okay, but preseason. But I'm going to go with Evan Mobley. Okay, he has been way better than I think we all thought he would be in year 1. Did you see what Anthony Davis said about him the other day when they played? Anthony Davis said he reminds me of myself as a rookie. He's skinny, but he's an elite scorer. He can be a 3-level scorer eventually. They have very similar averages: 13.5 points a game, 8 rebounds, 1.5 blocks a game. As rookies, that's a heck of a comp.
It's tough. He was looking good. Jalen Green did tell me, literally on the draft stage, now I have to go win Rookie of the Year to prove people wrong who didn't pick me number 1. So that's kind of hard to bet against. Do you have a game you're most looking forward to watching tonight?
I think it's the Heat game, right? The Heat game, just because.
Heat Mavs,
yeah, Heat Mavs, just because their defense has been really impressive. Shutting down guards, the Chicago, the Heat. So I really appreciate how they were able to slow down LaMelo, even though he bounced back. So I'm looking forward to that one.
All right, well, we got some interest.
I'm gonna say Lakers against Houston. This is one of those strange back-to-backs where you play the same team twice. Let's see if you